Bonjour. How's it going? So yeah, I'm just gonna do a little quick introduction for this video, which is not a, you know, video. It was a radio show, so there's not us on camera talking the whole time. So throwing some visuals just for whatever. And yeah, this one, I wanted to pack in so much more into this subject, and there's going to be another part to this. I'm waiting to get the audio file to make it happen, actually. But yeah, I mean, bottom line, like, we're trying to encourage people to have conscious relationships, and that starts with the relationship you have with yourself. You know, we can't give someone love if we ain't got any love to give for ourselves, you know. So anyways, oh, my girl looking at me. But yeah, I'm a happy man, whether I was single or now with a partner. And I don't do these types of videos or talk about certain subjects to, you know, cater to anyone, you know. I've never been on a YouTube thing for the motive and thinking about, oh yeah, I can get all the girls with this or some shit like that, you know. Like, what? But I will say this, you know, I didn't say it in the video or the recording, but yeah, maybe I'm just a lucky fucking guy, but the way I've gone through my life, like, I've really skipped out on the whole dating scene pretty much altogether. So, you know, when I see a lot of stuff on social media about people, like, having shitty dating experiences, or especially with the, what do you call it? And I had to take a peek at what this shit's about. Dating online apps. People getting way too swipe happy with that shit. But anyways, I didn't want to drag off into any of this kind of shit before we start the show, but I just wanted to let y'all know that, you know, yeah, really holding it down for yourself and having, you know, proper love and admiration for what you're trying to attract into your life, and get that proper magnetism towards them, you know. So yeah, hey, if you're single out there, enjoy it. If you're with someone, enjoy it. Or if it's not enjoyable, fucking leave it. I don't know. Don't believe me anyways. Yes, the skies are draconian. I recognize that. But do you recognize the hour that we're in trying to align with a right partner that's going to not just survive but thrive through these draconian times? Hope you enjoy this.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio, taking the confusion out of transmutated lunar girdle springs for 4 years and running. Revolution Radio, the #1 listener-supported alternative media radio on the planet. All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And yeah, we're going to get back to your host.
Welcome back, everybody. You are listening to Crypt's I've Been Thinking, and what are we thinking about today and discussing? Well, the divide between the masculine and the feminine. It is a great talk. We're getting into it, and I'm so excited for the second hour. We do have two of the One Great Work Warriors. We got Jerry here, who is first time being on the show. We got Derek, and I think it's the first time Derek's been on radio with me, but I have interviewed him. And of course, we got none other than Will Keller. Welcome, Will, to the conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. It's a pleasure to be back on your show, Rick. Looking forward to this chat.
Absolutely. And I'm going to get you to kick it off, because we were just talking about it in the first hour, and it's something I've talked with Mari about. As I was saying in the first hour, we get into this divide that I'm starting to see it's getting so drastic. The more I start diving and looking into it, Will, that this divide between the masculine and the feminine, and I don't just mean like in the physical being, I'm even talking about the energy, the masculine and the female and feminine energies. And I want you to kind of dive into this wherever you want to start and to break down what is going on and what they're doing to this energy.
Yeah, well, this is a crucial topic. This is part of the social engineers' agenda to invert nature and reality and truth. And if they can create adversity and a divide within the male and female realms, then you're already taken out, 50% of the population. So they just need to infiltrate the minds of just one side. They're very good at doing it at both. Through hundreds of years of cultural programming, and using these methodologies of mind control very effectively. The spiritual aspect that people really need to understand is that there's not a stronger force than male and female united.
Agreed.
We have Source, God, the Creator, the Supreme Intelligence, and then man and woman. When man and woman come together, it's a divine act. It's one of the most powerful acts, because you can create life. This is great. But even on a platonic level of interacting, masculine and feminine, I mean, this is the two pillars of society, right? Men and women. So when you have a divide or you have adversity on either side, you pit the genders against each other. That is the beginning stages of full-on total societal crumbling.
Yeah.
That's the pathway to destruction, or full-on physical enslavement. Obviously, that stems from the mind, because this is what it's really about. It's about mind control. Their main principle that the social engineers use is the inversion principle. So it's, upside down world, flipping everything on its head, inverting everything, the knowledge and the axioms that individuals think they know or they believe are completely inverted from what is actual, factual, and truthful. And, we can see how prevalent is even in the regular biology of genders nowadays, where people can just choose who they want to be, what they want to be, with complete disregard of truth and reality in nature.
Yeah. That's so true, and so well broken down, Will. And you're right. This inversion, and you hear people say that too, right? That everything seems inverted. And I try to tell people that that's what evil does. It doesn't create anything. It takes something and it just twists it and inverts it. That's what it does, but never creates anything. And
Yes.
that's the part that I think people have to. I hope people understand that it's nothing to do with creation. It's just this warped thing that they're doing, and you're seeing it and playing out before our eyes. That in so many areas, it's like you pick the area and it's in there. It's rooted in there.
Yeah, because ultimately they don't want men and women to understand themselves and nature. They want them to have inverted, poor values and not understand truth and objective morality, and the spiritual components. What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a woman? Because, like I was saying earlier, when they come together, you can create life. You can have children, and this is the deciding factor of where this is going to go. If people stop having kids, well, there's the depopulation agenda right there in full effect, which is happening. Through genetic modification, just chemicals and mind control. We're already at a rate where, the population is going to be in dire straits in the next generations, especially within the last 3 years, with the needlecraft. We're going to see, birth rates plummet. They already were plummeting in the past, 5 to 7 years.
Totally.
And that's through chemical warfare and mind control, but we're going to see a drastic hit of that coming up in the future. But the mind control of the lack of values and morality, objective morality, This is where the mind control comes in. They don't want, mainly, you have to take out the men first, because the men is the strength. This is what the man is. Men build society physically. 98% construction workers. This is what the men do. They build the society, and they are influenced by the woman. This is what a man does. A man is devoted and serves his woman.
Right.
So they know this. So if they can infiltrate the feminine and invert the roles where women think they have equal characteristics, which is absolutely a deception. We are opposites and we are complementary to each other by design. This is the purpose. It's the yin and yang, right? When you come together, then you have the one. But we are completely opposite. We are not equal in attributes and characteristics, and that's a good thing. And of course, we're equal in rights, in nature, in truth.
Yep.
So, I mean, I can rant on this and take it to many directions, but
I'll let you guys
comment.
I want to definitely get Derek and Jerry's thoughts on what you're saying, Will, but I just want to add before I do that's what I was saying at the beginning of the show, is that, they have this divide between man and woman. And I was saying, yes, we're different, but that doesn't mean like we're both equal. They're both equally as important. And I always want to stress that, because I don't want people saying, oh, you think a man's more important or a woman. No, they're both different, very different. But their roles are different, but they're equally important, equally as important.
Absolutely.
And
you can't have one without the other.
Exactly.
And
I know that upsets people.
It's a wrap. So.
It's a wrap. Yeah. So what are your thoughts? Go ahead, Derek, Jerry, get your thoughts in here, my friends.
Jerry, I got it locked and loaded. I'll let you go first, brother.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking of, like, if one thinks that the man is more important than the woman, like, what are the results? Like Will was saying, like, people would stop having children, and then that leads to depopulation. So it just makes sense to, have the man and the woman are equally as important. And once you realize that, like, you'll get good results. So I love what Will said. Man, I'm just here for I'm here for all of this. So don't even worry about that. We're going on so long. I'll pass it to you, Derek.
Cheers, brother. Yeah. Yeah, Will, great points, man. Always great to hear you. It's great you're doing your live streams week in, week out these days. There's so many things that have been so manipulated and all that. And what the solution at the end of this, and I'll get to the gist of it right now, is just really just being holistic within oneself and really being enlightened, being properly standing firm on eternal principles within yourself, building that, temple within yourself, and having those pillars of enlightenment via the masculine and feminine properly balanced within oneself. And even when I was single, like I've suffered a really heart-shattering divorce 4 years ago, and I've kind of been a vagabond since then. Moved around 40 different times over the past 4 years. And have, I'm on my fourth relationship since then, which is keeping me in France. And it's quite a cool romantic dance. But throughout, everything, my travels and all that, what's really helped me is just staying married, quote unquote, within myself via the alchemical wedding, which is that Hyros Gamos, that fusion of masculine and feminine archetypal energies, as I touched on in the previous hour. So, right. When someone embodies that, they can navigate this reality and relationships and, the dating scene and all this stuff and all the divide and conquers so much more clearly and with purpose, and not being easily, we're all subjected to it, but manipulated and pulled one way or another. And they love to pull on heartstrings, especially, which, have, the war of the sexes, obviously in a perpetual negative feedback loop on those terms.
with the emotions running high and all these things, right? So,
Hmm.
yeah, Ricky, you were going to say
No, I'm just
something?
loving what you guys are saying, and I think this is such an important topic. I really do,
Mm,
because it's like you guys are saying, if they, and I was saying, and I keep saying this, I find myself repeating a lot of the things I'm saying in a lot of my shows, but it's because it's so important, and I think people really need to hear it and get it, start getting this, that this attack on the family unit and the family structure, and I keep saying, I think from what I understand and I know, is that that's one of the most powerful. A strong family is so powerful, and that's why they're attacking it. And they're doing a great job. I mean, you guys were saying in the first hour, divorce. I look at COVID, and I mean, divorce lawyers were having a field day. That just tore marriages apart. And you don't hear anybody even speaking really of that. That this ripple effect that the last few years have had. But this has been going on way before that. I'm just saying this really added to it. And what they're doing is they're gutting the family unit. And I was fortunate enough to have a strong family growing up, but it's not something you see much anymore. You see so many single parents, and I get there's a lot of reasons for this. I'm not saying it's a simple thing, but there isn't a war on that. That is what I see them attacking. It seems to come down to that's what they're trying to tear apart. So, if you guys want to add in on that or give your thoughts, let me know if I'm wrong or if I'm in the right area.
No, you're absolutely correct. Touching on the dating scene,
Oh, that's a nightmare.
I've been, yeah, even that term dating, it can be tough
Ooh.
for
dirty
quote
word.
unquote truth seekers and freedom activists, especially one understanding moral principles and doing the work within oneself.
Mhm.
Because that's where it ultimately starts. It starts with the individual, with yourself. You can't give what you yourself do not have. So if you do not love
Boom.
yourself and understand yourself, how can you expect to give that to someone else or properly receive that from someone else? So just observing the quote unquote dating scene and how relationships operate nowadays, it's blinding the trauma that is within individuals. Um,
Mm,
People just they get out of a relationship and they just keep bouncing back and forth into relationships,
Right.
right? Almost
Yep.
instantaneously.
Yep.
There's no decompression time or anything. And this, this again, this is a lack of values and moral principles. Every relationship has a fundamental principle that must come first, and that is the service to truth, because you have to be truthful to yourself
yes.
and to your partner for the relationship to work. It has to be based in truth first. And Rick, I like what you said about the family unit. It starts with couples, right? Two
Yep.
individuals coming together and then they have a family. So this is another reason why the social engineers need to infiltrate the minds of individuals, because they know that if they can influence and project mind control, and people fall victim to this, then of course they're going to get into unhealthy relationships
Yep.
and therefore either deplete a lot of their life force energy and time, which will send them into deeper cascades of trauma. Uh, or they will actually have children and start a family, which the percentage of that is extremely low that they're actually going to stay together, and that doesn't even mean that they're going to be conscious stewardships of a young human being and raise that child correctly. So it's multifaceted, and it always just comes down to the individual, what you are doing, what you are learning, the work you are doing onto yourself. That comes first. And then the magnetic attraction, eventually you will come, and the frequencies and the vibrations will resonate, and you might come across someone that is at the same level as you. We have to have that self-respect, and not settle,
Mhm.
and be truthful to
Yeah.
ourselves.
That's a good point. Not settle. How many people settle in
Yeah, Rick,
so many
self-respect,
areas?
like that video you showed in the beginning, right?
Yeah. Self-respect, yeah, and it's just, and you guys are all making great points, and that's why I will keep hammering this, because as I was just saying, it has to be heard, and people have to start realizing that this is what we're up against. Is this like what you guys are breaking down perfectly, and once you see it, it's everywhere. As I was saying, it's just like wow, like they are really doing a number. And like you guys, I'm glad you brought up the dating scene because I mean I have friends that are in this on these dating apps, and this hookup culture is rampant. It really is, and it's shocking. And Will breaks that down great. Like I've always said there's got to be some trauma that's going on. You cannot just swap partners on even a weekly. I mean, most people I heard people do it daily almost, but I mean, even if you're doing it weekly or monthly, there's going to be some trauma. And what is that going to do? What is that? What kind of value do you bring into a relationship then? If you're, kind of been around the block many times.
Yeah,
If you know what I mean.
it's all about stunting and retarding consciousness,
right?
In humanity. When someone's just frivolously having multiple partners unconsciously, right?
Yep.
Not understanding that this is an energetic exchange. This is a divine union. The sexual act is pleasurable and should be honored and should be frequently with a partner that aligns with moral principles on your level. It's very important, and it's rejuvenating for the soul, the body, and the spirit. But nowadays it's the opposite. It's depleting. It's stagnation for the evolution of a spiritual being. And
right.
every partner or the notch on the belt, right? This is taking a piece of your life force and your process. It's keeping people locked into that based consciousness of beasts. That's what that is. That's what the base consciousness is. It's all about feeling good. It's not about the divine higher order thought processes or modalities of a spiritual being. It's just dopamine hits, and it's just stunting growth.
Absolutely. And then you throw in the porn, which is rampant now. Like this whole porn is just everywhere, and so it's just building on to what you said, Will. That it's this whole beast mentality. And it's just now you got people that they don't, they're at home, they're not even really out interacting with people and doing this work. They can get their fix on a porn site, that's a whole subject of damage I think is going on there. What people are seeing there. I mean, I think of porn back when I was younger. I mean, it was a magazine basically, but now, whew, it's just like, oh my God. So I get to see the damage that this is doing, and so they're really covering their bases. To really keep people in that base conscious and that really low energy. And I think that you guys are making great points that that's the goal, is to get out of this. And it starts with the work on yourself, which it seems that I talk about so much too, because it's so important. To me, it's the foundation. That's what I call the foundation, is this work that I think most people are lacking. They can tell you everything about what's going on in the world and what's wrong in a lot of cases with the world, but they never turn that finger towards themselves, which is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do and still do. I think it's so important.
Yeah, Rick. And ultimately we're doing it unto ourselves and all these, unconscious projections and this and that. And there's the social conditioning that has people, like Will was alluding to, this hedonistic, almost nihilistic, and obviously materialistic, lower sense operational way of, going about someone's life and just, getting, sucked into another cog in the machine within the matrix, whether it be, through their job and this and that, because you got to get the money to get the whatever. And then, you got your status and blah, blah, blah. Kind of like how,
buy
have
your
a lot
next
of the dogs are trained or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Get the money to buy your next thing, that's supposedly going to fulfill you. And it's just people just keep buying this useless stuff, and I see this, that it just really, you see the power of what they do. And you see people doing that. They just keep trying to plug this hole. And I've heard, everybody's heard that, you can keep stuffing this hole. A lot of people do it with so many different things. It could be sex addiction. It could be shopping. It could be drugs, drinking. They're filling this void. And that's where I think this self-work comes in. I think that's, you're never going to fill it with stuff. like with physical things like that. You know, if you know what I mean, like things. That's my thoughts. So, and it's just interesting. It's really when I see the damage that it's doing, and what I wanted to ask you too, Will, maybe because I'm sure you've seen. I found something really fascinating that and the reason that they are attacking the women so heavy is because it was really fascinating that they go after the women because women are like they do like what is it like 80% of the purchasing. And to me that's fascinating when I heard that they so you can see why they market it they really market to the woman side of things because they I think women have more power than they realize.
Yeah, with consumerism and materialism,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, they definitely they market to the female dynamic. And I mean, but it's hitting on all angles, even with men nowadays, right? I mean, you touched on a great point with, porn and all of these distractions,
Mm.
which is ultimately just getting men to give up their vital energy. And this
Right.
is why, willpower in a lot of men is extremely low, and drive. People need to understand that for a man, the orgasm is a release of energy. For
Mhm.
a woman, it is a receptive of energy. So a woman in orgasm actually gets energetic. She gets vitality,
Mhm.
I mean, she was keep on going.
Yeah.
For a man, it's
Right.
like, okay, nap time afterwards. So this is by design. So getting someone that's just, gaming all day, hitting Pornhub, you're depleting your vitality.
Right.
And this has
Dopamine out.
huge detrimental effects on the physical vessel, psychologically, spiritually, and energetically as well. And this is where they want people to be at. But the lack of knowledge and the ignorance is so prevalent. I mean, when someone talks about healthy masculinity, you hear people talk about Andrew Tate. You know,
Yes. Yep.
and Andrew Tate is an
No.
is an immature boy.
Oh hell no.
He's an immature boy, right? But see,
Fuck yeah.
people are looking. There's men that are seeking healthy masculinity. That's what they want to activate the man within the boy is what they're looking for. So they see someone like Andrew Tate, which is assertive, has drive and dominant, and these are masculine characteristics and
Mhm.
qualities. But he has so many imbalances and unhealthy characteristics as well. And the same thing goes to women, right? It's there's their own marketing schemes when it comes to women, right? You're supposed to be independent, making all the money in a relationship. I mean, we've seen it all reversed, right? The
We have.
roles have reversed for sure. So
Yep.
you got to be
Kardashian-esque
you got to be a
stuff.
bad bee, independent woman, like this kind of stuff. And what this does is on both sides, male and female, it takes the man and the woman out of the rhythm of life. What I
Right.
mean by that is that nature in all aspects has a rhythm, a flow to it. Whether we're talking about morality and right action versus wrong action, or just creation in general, like creating a house, there's a certain rhythm and flow that you need to utilize and apply that will help the situation manifest. So getting the men and the women out of the rhythm of life, going against nature, this has huge negative effects.
Absolutely.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, we know when one is off their path, when they are not in unity consciousness, meaning that their thoughts, emotions, and actions are in opposition, right?
Yep.
Then that individual will see obstacles come up within their life, right? They can't
Mhm.
catch a break. All kinds of stuff starts happening. And then when they are on their path and their thoughts, emotions, and actions are in alignment, and every doors start opening, their path starts clearing out, and things are looking up, and all these opportunities start popping up. It's because you're activated into the rhythm of energy, of flow, of nature, of life. So keeping men and women out of the rhythm of life means stagnation, control, slavery, and death.
Yeah. Great points. I was saying that on the first hour, Will, that in a relationship, it's this ebb and flow, and I also hear people say that relationships are 50-50. I tend to think that relationships are 100. And I mean, what I mean is that I put 100% into my relationship, and I know my wife does. It's not this 50-50 or whatever. It's 100 in my opinion. But there's an ebb and flow like that you're saying. And when it works, it's beautiful. It really is. And it's effortless in a lot of ways. And I know people say marriage is work and it's hard work. And there is an aspect. I get what they're trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is that there's this ebb and flow that is very, very, for lack of a better word, like a rhythm, like a rhythmic, I don't know the word.
Absolutely. That's why it's called the dance. Right.
Yeah.
The masculine and the feminine. It's the
There you go.
dance. Right. And I'll just touch on something real quick and then you guys can jump in.
Sure.
And it was just starting to escape my mind. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. So people think that they will change when they get into a relationship or the relationship is getting serious or, okay, I'm getting married now. Now I'm a married man. So I have to change. You have to understand in a healthy relationship, the individuals have done the internal work and they know themselves and they're in alignment with truth. They are the same people the day they met as 30 years later.
That's so true.
20 years later. So there isn't, see, people think they get married. So now it's time to do the work. Now I got to grow up or I got to do this or I got to do that. It's about becoming who you are now. Then you get into a relationship.
Yeah, it's so true. And people, that's a great point. It's so true that what you just said, Will, and I love the way you worded that. It's so true that you think that because you hear people say that I'm a married man now, I got to buckle down and all of that, and it wasn't like that for me. It really wasn't. Maybe I'm a freak. I don't know. Maybe it's something what I got is rare. I don't think so. I think it's just something. When it works, it works, and it's this dance that you were talking about, and it's always constantly flowing. Like sometimes, your partner is holding up 90% for that moment, and then it flows another way, and then maybe you're holding it up a bit. It's just really, it's a dance. It's a perfect word, the dance. I love that, and I'm going to remember that. So, what are your thoughts, Derek and Jerry? Like, weigh in on this if you want to.
Yeah, I just think like Will said that the feminine and the masculine, they're opposites, and that's so true. Like the man will want to give solutions, right, to problems, and the woman just wants to be heard at times. So you have to understand the roles, and you have to play your part, Crypt. Like you said, you give 100% of your effort into the relationship, and that ensures success. I'll pass it to Derek.
If Derek is with us. There he is.
All right. So I love the fact that we're all over the map. Will, you're on the West Coast.
Yep.
And I'm on the French West Coast. That's a little, whatever, secret joke. But in Gerardo, you are a Mexicano, or at least living over in the southern side of the border. And Rick is in Canada. So this is awesome. And, eventually it'd be kind of cool to just get our perspectives and possible just, like objective observations of what we've kind of seen on the whatever dating landscape or relationship landscape, how men treat women or women treat men and that kind of stuff. And if these dynamics have differences, because I have noticed a bit of a difference in France, but
that's interesting, actually.
Yeah, for sure. Bonjour.
Yeah, just it makes you wonder.
It's not anything like I'm no fucking elitist. I'm California bred in the Bay Area, like Will is at. But what I've noticed in America, going back to the whole divide and conquer stuff and how there's so many indifferences and divides and blah blah blah, where it's hard for people to meet eye to eye. There's so many different things, and the social media effect. Oh shoot.
It's okay. Keep going.
I saw your sorry. The social media effect, with OnlyFans now, and there's
That's another
a lot of
topic.
people
Yeah.
talking smack about whatever side, with the MGTOW movement or the feminist movement, or there's like a term called like TERFs, or all these different things, and what's going on, and there seems to be a huge, TikTok videos talking about, women in their 30s or 40s hitting the wall, apparently, or whatever. Single mothers, there's like almost an epidemic with that, and it seems
Yeah.
like not a whole lot of people are talking about the missing father dynamic, and how the legal system plays a huge significant factor in that, because
Yeah.
statistically mothers have the rights of their children a lot more than the fathers do. And yeah, there's plenty of deadbeat dads. There's a lot of great dads out there. There's a lot of single heartbroken fathers because they can't see their kids as well. So
Mhm.
how many people are actually talking that? How many people are like getting out of this non-binary perspective beyond gender? Just like non-dualistic, bitch shit, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
divide and conquer ain't so simplistic.
Well,
So
you
yeah,
make a
there's
good
like,
point. Yeah.
oh yeah, go for it.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. If you want to finish up, please.
Yeah, sure. Because there's, what is it? I'm over here in France. I've been disconnected. I tune into social media sometimes, a good amount, but I'm not hooked into the pop culture and this stuff, and like these young dudes coming up on whatever TikToky platform with their 15 seconds of fame, Snapchat and all that. But there's all these different acronyms and words that I'm just like, wow, y'all are just, trying to get a nanosecond out of your life just to make something sound shorter and cooler, some crap. Like,
Hmm.
what is it? Sus or incel, or, I
Yeah.
mentioned turf and all that, but like an incel, like there's so many weaponized terms with this, or, they can easily become weaponized. And
For
so
sure.
like in incel, what is that? An involuntary uh, male who's not trying to, or who can't have sex with a woman because they, for whatever reason. And it's just part of this divide and conquer, where it's really easy to compartmentalize any traits of anyone's situation and lump it into something and group a whole bunch of people in together, and slather whatever kind of derogatory nuances towards that. And you have the opposite of that, and so it creates these tensions that are just like so unnecessary, right?
Hmm. Great points. And I wanted, like, I'm just checking the time. I wanted, and I just want to add something in here too, because you kind of brought up the absentee fathers, and we were talking kind of like how they had the family unit divided. And maybe I'll get you to kick this one off, Will, because what I want to do is I want to get your thoughts on what I'm about to ask you, and then I want to talk about
Conscious parenting.
solutions. Conscious parenting, and I want to get into solutions, like, because we know we can talk about the problems all day of what we're seeing, but I think it's so important that we start talking about solutions and getting people on the right path. So my question to you, Will, is there is a lot of families that are broken homes. There's two parents, they're not together, and they're both trying to raise their children. Can it be done? And what are the steps, do you think, Will, that to make this as successful as it could be? Because this is, I think, a big challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah, the question, are you asking it, can it be done if the parents are separated?
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, no, just to clarify. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it can be done to the best of your ability, right? I mean, I'm separated with my daughter's mother. But we made the conscious effort and made the conscious decision to live together in the same house, respectively, until our daughter was through the formative years. So when
Nice.
she was 8.5, it was time for us to physically separate. But we weren't in a relationship, a romantic relationship, for a few years before that. So that was, I'm proud of that, because I
For
definitely think
sure.
that had a huge positive impact on our daughter. But that might not be the case. Here's the thing: when it comes to the family unit, is that there is no cookie cutter way that people need to do things. There are objective principles, meaning objective morality, teaching your children how to think, understanding rights and natural law. These are the objective principles that every parent needs to teach their children, hands down. There's no exception. But the inner workings and the relationship, or there's no blueprint or process for a separated couple to follow, except for do the internal work, be grounded within yourself. I mean, my situation, my daughter's mother, is extremely difficult. That responsibility of myself to not fall for the narcissistic traits and tendencies is up to me. Right. It's very easy for separated parents to just go back and forth and be at war with each other, which is the norm for a lot of separated families. Yep. Right. The mom and dad are in this war. Well, guess who's getting the aim? Guess who's getting shot down and taking the brunt of all that energetic trauma? The child is. Yes. The child is. Absolutely. Yep. Dad can be upset. Mom can be upset. You can hold grudges all you want. The trauma is on your children. So this is being the bigger person sometimes, speaks volumes. Again, you have to pick and choose your battles, and it's really on, kind of a subjective basis for each family. But yeah, absolutely. Some of the ethical guidelines, obviously agreeing and communicating to the best of your ability on principles, for sure. Communication is number one. If you can't communicate, then, which most separated parents cannot communicate. So what do? They go to the court system. And like Derek was mentioning, the women, the mothers, are highly subsidized. Yep. And they are just by proxy of, giving birth to the baby, they automatically have, quote unquote, more rights in man's law and in the state, depending on what state you are in. I'm in California. It's definitely a mother state. So it can be a lot, more tough for dads. So yeah, but it can't be done. Communication for sure is it's the root of it. This is where this is the foundation of the relationship. And communication is based upon one's own knowledge, understanding, and work they have done within themselves. I know what to say to my daughter's mother when she's in a mood, right? Or she's trying to instigate. I know that if I say the wrong thing, it will just, it will spiral out of control. Mm-hmm. So responding instead of reacting. This is where the majority of parents, co-parents, need to really kind of repeat that in their head. Okay, I'm going to respond, not react. Because when you are trying to communicate from purely the emotional realm, you are not thinking, you are not using logic and reason, and you are judging statements or events just on how it made you feel, and guaranteed you will make the wrong decision the majority of the time.
Yep, that's so true. Yeah, and reactive. You're so right, Will, that people, they're in this reactive state. You see that, and it's all led by their feelings, and that's where I think people get into the problem. There's not really any conscious thinking going on or pulling back. I always say, like, pull back a little and kind of get a broader picture. It's okay to pull back and observe a little, and then try to figure things out that way. But I love what you're saying about the work on yourself, and it always seems to come back to this. It really does. When I talk about solutions, that's the key, the foundation. That's why I'll keep calling it that, and I'll keep talking about it, as I was saying earlier, because it's that important. If you're lacking that, it's like I always tell people, if you're building a skyscraper and you have a weak, shitty foundation, I mean, you could build the most beautiful skyscraper in the world, but if that foundation's not there, it's useless. It's going to fall. Mm-hmm. There's nothing you can do. And I think in drumming, my drumming teacher hammers this into me, which is kind of a cool coincidence, is the foundation of drumming is staying in the pocket. Like, you can be, and so it really plays into so many aspects of life, is that you need this foundation. And when, like you're talking about the family structure, you need that strong foundation, and that's what they're destroying. So what are some of the, like, I want to get all three of your thoughts on what are some of the solutions, or what can get people on the right path. Whoever wants to take it first, Will, if you want to, and then Derek, whoever. I want to get all your guys' thoughts before we get to the end of the hour, because I want to get into solutions, because I think a lot of people understand that there's things messed up in the world, even what we're talking about. I'm sure most would agree that this is what they're observing. But what are the solutions? Because I've had people say that they're like, okay, great. Now where do we start? I always say start working on yourself, but I want to get your guys' thoughts. So who wants to take this one?
That's that evolution. Yeah.
I think that
Get him, Jerry.
Get him,
the
Jerry.
answer is simple. It's the shadow work, knowledge of self, and it's love. Ultimately, if you love yourself, you'll be full, and then that love can extend to others. But without, like Will just said, like you have to tell yourself, like hammer it into your conscious that you will not react, but you will respond. That's internal work. It's
That's
not
huge.
an
Yep.
external force. It's work, hard work. That is hard. If you want the easy route, react. You don't have to think. That's what I gotta say.
That's awesome. Awesome, Jerry. Thank you. And Derek, what are your thoughts, man? Give it to him. Let's see where you're going with this.
Yes, Jerry. It is hard because it ain't easy to really truly have that self-reflection, that respect, as the video that you mentioned shown in the beginning. And I call it, and it depends on, certain catalysts and dark nights of the soul, but yeah, doing the shadow work, really looking into the windows of your soul, seeing yourself eye to eye, and really digging down deep and really truly feeling and knowing what's inside counts for so much. And yeah, I'll just say, for speaking from experience, because we can keep it all mystic, or boil it down more simplistic and
Right.
grounded, as far as just my successes and navigating relationships and heartbreaks, and having those alchemical phoenixes rising up through the ashes of, yeah, ways that I could become more correct and this and that. And I see, any interaction as a learning experience. And that's why I see a lot of, dating, people be like, oh, this person's a waste of my time and yada, yada. I mean, I mentioned this on Mario West's Conversations with Men chat, but just, yeah, being truly aligned to your purpose, why you're truly here. It really magnifies that energetic, kinetic, magnetic frequency that is going to attract someone of your caliber that much more frequently.
Right.
And I've had so many fruitful relationships. I mean, yeah, I've suffered heartache and all that, but I truly love and praise all these women still, and I don't hold that, as, some kind of negative, trauma attachment or that kind of stuff. We all have to move on and this and that, and people have to cut their cords whatever ways. But for me as a man, and, just truly having profound multidimensional admiration for the divine feminine essence, and just knowing that inspires me to just come up with more fresher ways to pay homage to that when it's in my presence, I guess. And
Yeah.
that goes for even plutonic interactions. Like, there's so many people that we talk to on social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and people are up in arms like, oh, why is this guy up in my DMs or this and that, when folks like us, Will and Jerry and you, Rick, were just trying to network and meet more like-minded people, possibly do podcasts and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And it's just the learning interactions of that each one teach one type of thing. So
Yeah,
I
you can
just try
learn
to.
from anybody. Like I learn from everybody. Just I learn from everybody that I kind of interact with something. I mean, I really do, and even children. I think children are great teachers. People. Well, I grew up in an area where you if you're a kid, you kind of shut. Like that's what a lot of parents did. You were kind of seen but not heard. And then you start to realize that children are a wealth of knowledge. They really are. They're fascinating to watch and to interact with, and I love their honesty too. A lot of them are so honest. You know what I mean? Like, but you can learn so much, I think, from everyone that you meet, and it becomes very beneficial, the more people that you kind of interact with. I think I've learned so much from every one of you that I interact with and I meet, and along this journey I'm on. And like I was saying, children is another one. You learn from everyone. So it's just really, and I would like to get you back on, Jerry, because you were saying you found Mark Passio's work, and you it got you out of the military. I mean, you were saying you could have still been there in that mindset. That's powerful, and I really do want to get you on sometime to dive into this, because I think that is really, really powerful. And once we get into this, it's going to help a lot of people. But what are your thoughts? Well, I think that every interaction is you can take some great knowledge from it.
Absolutely. No, yeah, Jerry and Derek and you, Rick, said some really good points. As far as solutions, I call it ARC, ARC. So we need to stand under the arc, because the arc has a 0 point and a trajectory, and it arcs, right? So there is growth to get to your destination. The A stands for accountability. So where are you at in your current moment? And this can apply to relationships, parenting, anything, accomplishing goals. So the A, accountability, where are you at in the present moment, right? Observe your thoughts, emotions, and actions. So you have to take a checklist, where am I at in life right now? The R is responsibility. So how do I get to where I want to go? I want to get in a relationship, if I want to be a better parent. So you have direction. What can you do? You have to take the responsibility and figure out what are the steps that I myself need to take within myself and externally as well. And then the C is for care. And this is the why. You want to be in a relationship? Why? What do you care about? What are your values? You need to understand this aspect. And these three put together, you're going to really get a grounded, accurate perception of your own inner workings, right? All three of this is part of the internal work. And then you're going to have a clearer vision of where you're at, because you have to see it to achieve it.
That's
right?
true.
The greatest nation in the world, the only nation in the world that actually counts, is the I Magi nation. So if you don't know who you are and where you're
Boom.
at in that present moment, then you're going to have no idea where you're going or who you're going to meet or how that interaction is going to turn out.
Yeah.
So get under the arc.
That's a great, yeah,
I
and
love
I'll
that,
never
man.
forget that now. Yeah, I'll never forget that. That's a great little thing for people to remember, arc, and you nailed it, Will. Every aspect. And Derek, great points. Jerry, I'm so I want to thank you guys, each and every one of you, seriously, for taking the time to be here and join me on this show, because I think we really got into some important stuff, and some an important topic, this divide that we're kind of diving into, that is between the male and the the masculine and the feminine. It's I think, and it's an important one, and I'll keep saying that because it's really impacts in everything in so many areas. And we kind of got into the family structure and how they're attacking that, and this is really key stuff. And the final solution is, like you guys were saying, this work that has to be done on yourself, and it is hard work, and it's work. That's why they call it shadow work. It's work, and you got to be brutally honest. It's really tough to be that honest with yourself, and I'm glad that we kind of dove into that and broke that down. And hopefully it gives people the motivation to start doing the work on themselves, and to align themselves with truth and with objective morality, and with what that's going to just help you grow. And I think that's so important. So thank you guys so much. I really was looking forward to this. I enjoyed this so much. I appreciate everybody that's listening and taking the time to come and listen every week. You guys are, you're the greatest. You really are. And it shows that you care, as Will was saying. You care if you were listening, and you want to make change, and you want to change yourself, and you want to improve the world, and leave something for the children coming up behind us. You care, and that is so valuable, I think, and so important. So I just want to check the time. I want to make sure I give everybody at least a minute to break down. Okay, we got a few minutes. So, Will, where can people find your work?
Excellent.
We got a few minutes. I want to make sure everybody gets their moment.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be on your show, Rick, with your excellent viewers and listenership. And it's great to converse with Derek and Jerry. These guys doing the one great work and activating. I love it. You can get to all my work at my official website, which is willkeller.com, WILLKELLER.com. I'm also on the onegreatworknetwork.com. I got my work on there, and check out my presentations and my interviews. And I respond to emails and messages. So if anybody has any questions or clarifications, you can message me there. And thanks again for having me, Rick.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm just putting your link to willkeller.com. That will be in the chat, guys. So please go and check it out. And he's easy to get a hold of. If you have any questions, he will definitely answer them for you. Go ahead there and let everyone know, Derek, where they can find your work and what you got going on. The floor is yours.
Yeah, cheers, Rick. Thank you so much. And Will, real quick, you're live every Wednesday now, if I'm not correct, at 6 p.m. Pacific.
Oh yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So I'm actually doing. I'm
not your last one. That was cool.
I'm not weekly. I'm doing bi-weekly. So it's the first and third Wednesday of each month. I'm doing a presentation series. It's like 2 to 3 hours, and I also do open discussion for people to come onto the show. And people can find the schedule and the details on my website. So thanks for bringing that up, Derek.
Yeah, sure will. Yeah, I caught it a day later because of the time difference, and I was trying to call in. I was like, oh wait, it's on replay. I was listening to your show, which was great, talking about morality, and then saw the brother Chris and Fred that hopped on earlier. That was cool, yo. But yeah, just real quick, because to cap off, I love the fact that we all came together and brought more positive verbiage, if you will, or not jargon, but just the majority of conversations or the tone of speech I hear about the dating scene and all this stuff is a lot more negative. And it's so easy to just commentate on these things and this and that, but it does take work to actually see it for what it is, be the observer, try to find solutions and learn apophatically from all things that are bad, and see the positive opposite side of that, and try to just be aligned to that more or less. And so for anyone, we've all seen it's super popular now to just complain and be like, oh, all the girls are whatever, or oh, all these guys are slobs and this and that. Well, guess what? These are the people that are continually showing up in their lives, because those are the wheels that they're spinning. Law of attraction, natural law, hermetic principles. These are the things that people really need to grasp a hold of, as we've been alluding to and talking about throughout this conversation, to really, have a proper relationship within oneself before even having a proper one with anyone else, right? You ain't got love to give if you ain't got it for yourself, type of thing.
So
Revolution, baby. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'll make sure thank you so much, Derek. I'll make sure I leave links in the chat for Derek's content. So please go check it out. He does amazing music stuff. I love it.
My full name, Linktree. You can check me out. I have all my platforms.
Perfect. Jerry. I'll make sure I put the link. And Jerry, do you have anything you want to let people? Yeah, One Great Work Warriors. What do you want people to know? What are you working on? The last minute is all yours.
Sure. I am starting to put out content. You can find my content with the One Great Work Warriors. You'll find my link there to my channel. I'm still working on a name, but it's Truth Over Fear 95 as of now. I copied it off of someone, so I have to change it. But what I do want to say is not only Mark Passio changed my life, but also Richard Grove's work. And he has an an online course called Autonomy, and I just want to recommend you check it out at getautonomy.info.
Perfect. All right. I'll make sure I put that link in there as well. And once again, thank
Beautiful.
each and every one of you guys. You guys are
Yeah,
truly
Rick,
great.
thanks so much, brother.
You're very welcome, and you're always welcome back. I already had a couple of people thanking me for this conversation, so it's showing that people, this is something they want to talk about and understand, is that this whole family divide, relationship divide. So you guys are all amazing. Keep doing the great work you're doing, because it's making a difference. I believe that. People are starting to seek this out. So thank you so much, guys. And thank you, everyone, for listening. I will be back Thursday, the Crypt, Rick, and Jonathan show. Stick around, and I will see you next week back here at the same time.